Hey. Time for another Out of This World story from rSpace. We've all dreamed about scoring tickets to the concert of a lifetime, but this one, she took it way too far. All in the name of Queen Bee. Today on rSpace, to the left. My wife cheated on me to get VIP Beyoncé tickets. I left her and made her life a struggle after that. My 33 male wife, Ariana, 32 female, is moving like a whore. It's a word she likes to use a lot to denigrate other women, but for me to find out that she seems to embrace that energy the best makes this very ironic. I used to think that she was the kind of person who committed to a relationship with the best of her ability. That was always the vibe that I got from her, but now I realize that the person I've been living with this entire time has been a completely different individual underneath it all. It hurts so bad, and I've been depressed ever since I found out, but I think I feel angry a lot more than I feel sad. This is someone who I have been dating since the first year of college. I went to college, and she just worked at a nearby cafe that I liked to frequent. From the way she presented herself there, I really felt like she was a simple girl. She didn't seem like the kind who liked to party or live life on the wild side, and that attracted me to her, because I've never liked crazy girls who think drinking and partying are the only valid ways to have fun. Even though she wasn't in college and never went, I was not going to judge her with that, because she was smart enough despite that. I fell in love pretty hard, and I wish that I never did. A lot of the relationship was fine. There was a brief period where we struggled because she had plans to move to another state for work, but we got through that, and I was grateful for that much. We got married about a year after I graduated, and we've been together ever since. I thought that we'd be together forever, but I learned something about her recently that absolutely shattered me. I don't have to say that she cheated on me, but it was a manner in which she did it that's making me so angry. She wasn't much of a social media person around the time that we met, but sometime after we got married, she eventually joined some social media platforms. That wasn't a problem to me because I'm on Reddit, Twitter, Instagram, and a few others. Maybe if she'd been on these platforms beforehand, I would have had a better idea of the way that she thinks. It didn't take long before I realized that she seemed to be really into Beyoncé. Her music is fine to me, but it's not enough to make me lose my humanity and turn it into one of those insane fans. I don't think I can be that passionate about anyone who I don't actually know in real life. I have several musicians and athletes that I'm big fans of, but I will never be parasocial with them, and I've always frowned on that kind of behavior. It's when I noticed that she was becoming a bit too concerned about tours, her fashion, and children, I mentioned that I was concerned. She told me that it wasn't a big deal. According to her, I wasn't meant to take it any more seriously than someone who was a big fan of a reality show, even though that was also a red flag to me. I told her that the only reason she was meant to be concerned about Beyoncé's tour was if she planned to go to a concert. There was no reason to care as much as she did if you were just a fan. Of course, she didn't see my side, and she was very defensive about the whole thing. I made sure not to bring out the word parasocial because I knew that would be the conversation into territory that I didn't want to have to deal with. As far as I knew, she hadn't gotten to the point of insulting people online when they said anything bad about that woman, but it didn't seem like she was that far off. I could tell that she had all the time in the world to be obsessed over a musician because she didn't have a job. Initially, it was because we were trying for kids, but it didn't work out for us despite trying for 2 years. After that, she said she was going to find a work, but she never did in the end, so I became the sole source of income for the house. To her credit, she does keep the place tidy, and she takes care of all the cooking. Everything fell apart when she told me that she wanted to go to a Beyoncé concert. The tour was going to pass through a nearby city, and she wanted to go for it. The problem was, by the time she told me that she was interested, I looked for tickets, and there were literally no tickets left. It wasn't much of a surprise since it was just 2 weeks out at that point, and the city that she wanted to go to was a very major location. I checked resellers, but the markup was insane, and as much as I wanted to do it for her, it didn't make any financial sense. I even considered not going and paying for just one ticket, but it was really hard for me to justify. I calculated, and I realized that it was going to make more financial sense to book one of the last dates of the tour, which still had available tickets, and pay to fly over. When I mentioned that to her, she wasn't for it though. She had friends that she met online who were going to be going to the concert in that city, and it would be the best opportunity she had to meet them. She wasn't entirely opposed to attending elsewhere, but it was going to be very different and not as enjoyable, she claimed. It annoyed me that she didn't think it'd be as enjoyable if her husband went along with her, but I chose not to make a big deal of it. I wasn't as crazy about Beyoncé after all, but I wasn't going to be miserable. When I said I couldn't pay for the tickets that the resellers had, she claimed that that was fine, and then she was in a bad mood for the rest of the day. It really irritated me, but I did my best not to make a big deal out of it. She was acting like a child, and I wanted to tell her, but I didn't want to have to deal with even more of a headache that she was already going to give me. Truth be told, just to be a good husband, I was seriously considering finding the cheapest of all those expensive tickets and surprising her with it. I was ready to work overtime for about a week to make the blow a little softer. I didn't even get a chance to do that though, because about a week after that, and a week from the date, she told me that she was going to be going to the concert and that she had VIP tickets. I was happy for her, genuinely, but there was a lot of confusion because the regular tickets that were being resold cost an arm and a leg. So I wanted to know how she could have just magically gotten VIP tickets. I asked her how, and she said that one of the online friends that she was planning to go with had an extra ticket because the ticket's owner had something come up at the last minute. I asked how much it cost, and she said she got it for free. That part didn't make sense because there was no reason someone would give such an expensive ticket for free when they could put it up for a 50% discount and still make a little money. She told me I was overthinking it when I mentioned that. She said the friend just really wanted her to come, and they weren't going to charge her because they knew she didn't have a job. I took her word for it at the time because I didn't want to be too paranoid, but I knew for a fact that she wasn't telling me the truth. There was certainly something else to this matter, and I knew that I was going to find out what it was if she didn't want to tell me. I used the opportunities that I had to see if I could check her phone, but it didn't quite work out the way I wanted. She was always on it. It wasn't like she was guarding it or being overly protective, but she was just using it way too much in the run-up to the concert. I didn't like not knowing what was going on, but I realized that it was going to be best for me to figure things out when she got back because she'd be a lot less restless about the whole thing, and I'd get the opportunity to find things out. The day eventually came, and she went for the concert. I tried my best to be as happy as I could for her, but I just couldn't get over the way I felt. When I first found out that she magically had VIP tickets, I tried not to think that there was another man involved, but at this point, I was almost convinced, because when I tried to suggest making the trip with her, she found excuse after excuse to stop me from coming. I could have kept pressing so that I'd foil whatever plans she had, but if I have a woman with the intent to cheat, it isn't made any better if I stop her from doing what she wanted to do. The intention to do it is almost as bad as the actual act to me. If I made it not happen, it wouldn't make me feel any more reassured once that event moves on. She could have had the intention to cheat in the future, and that was why I decided to let off the gas and let her do what she wanted to do. She went to the concert and she sent me pictures throughout the whole thing, which did reassure me a little. She sent me a picture of her and her group after the concert ended, along with the VIP merchandise that they had received. But after that, her communication went dead, despite how many messages I sent. It was only at about 10 a.m. the next morning that I finally heard back from her. Her claim was that she had an amazing and crazy night. She said that they had gone to a nearby club that one of the girls said was hosting a Beyoncé-themed night, and she drank a lot and eventually got back to her Airbnb and passed out. While that didn't seem like anything unusual for someone who had just traveled to another city for a concert, it didn't make sense because that was the sort of thing that she'd normally let me in on before doing. It wouldn't have been hard for her to send me a message while she was in an Uber or the car that was taking them to the club. The way I already felt about the odd means through which she had gotten the VIP ticket just gave me the worst feeling. When she got back home, I treated things as I normally would, but underneath the surface I knew the way I felt about the situation. I was just waiting for the best opportunity to dig through her messages and find out what had happened. I did eventually get that chance, and while it took quite a bit of searching, I eventually found out exactly what had happened. I found out through her messages with one of those online friends as well as her messages with someone named Chase, who had been the person who actually supplied her with a ticket. The real story was that this online friend of hers had been the person she ran to complain about the fact that I wasn't ready to spend thousands of dollars to get her a ticket for the show. The friend asked whether I was getting her a VIP ticket, and when she said no, she asked Ariana why she was bothering herself for a non-VIP ticket when she could link her with someone who had VIP tickets to give out. Ariana asked what the catch was, and her friend said, "It's a man with the tickets. You know what the catch is." My wife didn't say anything for about an hour after that, but she came back and said that she had thought about it and tell him to save me one. Her friend seemed to be ecstatic that she was going to be coming. The guy ended up messaging her and mentioned that he heard she was interested in a ticket. He made it clear to her that there was nothing was for free, and she said that she knew. He asked for a picture of her, and she sent it, and he was apparently pleased with what he saw. He said that she'd be with him for the night. Her friends apparently had similar arrangements with some of this guy's friends. They chatted up to the day of the concert, and then there were messages when they were trying to locate each other. After that, there was nothing until the day she got back, when she told him, "Thanks for the great time." That was actually all that I needed to see. I documented as much of it as I could and put her phone back where I found it. She had no idea that I had done my snooping when next she picked up her phone. There was no way I could remain in a marriage with her, and I've already met up with a lawyer to get things officially split between the two of us. People say that you should let people enjoy things, and I've never tried to stop her from enjoying Beyoncé, regardless of my thoughts. However, when you choose to cheat on your husband because the tickets are that important to you, it becomes clear how unhealthy the obsession with a pop star has become. There's no forgiveness in me for something of that magnitude. I'm going to confront her with the papers so that there will be no going back. Update. This is a follow-up from my last post, where I narrated how my wife of 7 years chose to cheat on me over Beyoncé tickets. I met up with a divorce lawyer before I posted that, and soon after, the paper was ready. I didn't have a plan for how I was going to confront her, but I didn't want to wait to make one since I just wanted to have her out of the house. Being around her was sickening. She was sitting in the living room watching videos on her phone when I walked in and told her that I wanted a divorce. She thought I was joking, but when I handed her the papers, her face went blank. She still thought I was joking somehow, but I let her know that I found out about the situation with the concert tickets. She asked me what I was talking about, but I shouted at her not to lie to me. She jumped back and she went speechless. I dared her to lie to me, and she didn't. I told her everything that I knew without going too specific, and I made it clear that there was no way she was ever going to be forgiven for betraying our marriage in such a way. I asked her whether Beyoncé had really been worth destroying our marriage. We hadn't been doing too bad for ourselves, but now there wasn't going to be anything left for her. I let her know that I was going to do my best to make her life hell. She started to cry when I said that. Through her tears, she said I was misunderstanding what had happened, so I gave her the opportunity to explain it to me, but she said nothing at that point. I told her that I knew the story she had given me was fishy from the start. She asked me why I had to let her go if I knew, as if I was the one who was meant to have stopped her from cheating. I told her there was no point in me stopping her from cheating if she really wanted to. It was the fact that she wanted to and had planned to that made all the difference, and I wouldn't have stuck around with her even if she somehow didn't seal the deal. But since she had, it made things so much easier to handle. She asked again why I didn't stop her. "You know how much I wanted to see Beyoncé?" Then she went from blaming me from not stopping her from cheating to blaming me for not buying the tickets. "If you had just spent the money, this wouldn't have happened." The lack of accountability would have surprised me if I wasn't already familiar with the way women are in that regard. I told her that she was trying to blame her actions on me, but the responsibility belonged only to her. I let her know to pack her things and get out of the house. I expected the paper signed soon so that we could get things over with. But when I said that, she only cried some more. It was irritating to watch because all of this emotion was coming out because she had gotten caught. Meanwhile, before she knew that I knew, she was sending his messages thanking him for the good time that they had. When the divorce stage came, I spent the money that I would have spent on Beyoncé tickets on the best divorce lawyer that I could get. I wanted to come out on top, especially since I had evidence of her cheating. Thankfully for me, that turned out to be a very intelligent move on my part. For one, the house was passed down to me by my grandfather before we got married, so even though it was quaint and nothing too special, it belonged to me and it wasn't marital property. We didn't have much by way of savings, so it's not like there was way too much to split in that regard, though she still took half. I was initially ordered to pay a pretty senseless alimony, but with the evidence of cheating and a very good lawyer, I was able to get that knocked down in terms of the actual monthly payment and the duration. The amount that she's getting might be great for a few nice dinners a month, but it won't sustain her comfortably. The best part is that it showed itself to be the truth. We live in a city where she has no family. When I kicked her out, the first place that she went was a motel, but when she couldn't afford it for more than a week, she went to crash on the couch in an acquaintance's house. I knew that was not going great because she begged me if she could move back in for just 2 weeks while she got her crap together. I told her no, obviously, because she had used her own free will to waive her right to stay in the house. She had been there for close to a month and was kicked out within a week of that. That was when she came to the house to beg me to let her stay for just a few days. She looked pathetic while she begged, but I told her that I wasn't going to help. I let her know that the best I could do was give her money to take a bus back to a place with family, but I wasn't going to help her in any other way. She said she didn't want that and left, but she came back the next day trying to make up on the offer. I told her it wasn't on the table anymore and she'd be best to wait for the alimony to come in. She cried and it felt like she was trying to guilt trip me, but I just closed the door on her. As I advised, I heard she traveled home so that she could stay with family, and she used part of the alimony to pay for it. Family will be the one place where she can stay forever without worrying about money, but even they'll get tired of her after some time. She's not used to working since it's been a while, but I'm happy she'll have to embrace the struggle again, like the rest of us. I'm just glad this isn't my business any longer. She straight up threw years of your life away over a Beyoncé ticket. Like, not love, not loyalty, not even a real excuse. Just a concert. Cheating over a few selfies and overpriced merch? That's not just selfish. That's straight up childish and insane. And then she has the nerve to cry and act like you're the problem because you didn't hand over thousands? Give me a break. Totally mental and 100% not your problem anymore. What's the wildest thing you've ever seen someone prioritize over a relationship? And thank you for joining us today on rSpace. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next video. See you soon.